the messenger as well. So in our meditation session today, we're going to start with just a little bit of a very, very simple movement in case you've been more stagnant today. And then we will dive in and explore a few different focus-based techniques. Most important thing to remember, two most important things I always like to talk about with meditation is that your mind does not need to be still. That's a common myth. So it's totally fine to have a busy mind wherever you're at today, whatever you're navigating. And the key is just to come back to the focal point and then notice when you drift off and then come back. So it's just a little sweet dance. And the other thing is with the body, it's okay if you have a desire for movement. It's an opportunity to pause and notice that first. And oftentimes it might pass, or sometimes like I'll get a little itch, desire to itch my skin, and that sensation will just flow through. But the caveat is that if you're sitting here in pain and it is going on and on and on for minutes, then it's probably an indication that it's just going to be better to make a little adjustment and then dive right back into whatever technique that we're working with. So finding that balance of honoring a little sensation and discomfort, but also not going over the edge where you're really, really, really uncomfortable. There's no need. All right, so take a comfortable seat wherever you're at, and if you do have a blanket or something that you're sitting on, you can also use a block or cushion or book. Take that out to the side just for the beginning of our time for a little bit of movement. Also remember that for the sitting portion, you can be on a chair as well if you're not comfortable sitting on the floor. And with these movements, you can also do standing as well. So I'll mention a little adaptation as we do that. So take in a deep, full breath through the nose, inhale. With the exhale, open mouth, optional sound aside and let it go, releasing tension. Again, deep inhale. Exhale, let it go. One more time, deep, full breath. Exhale to let it go. And from here, take your hands back behind. Extend the legs out in front and start with a little windshield wiper motion. Moving side to side, just to release any tension from the hips, the legs. If you're doing this in standing, you can just move the hips a little side to side or in little circles as well. And from there, pause at center, extend your legs long, press out through your toes, and stretch out through your legs. And if you're doing this in standing, you can anchor the feet to the ground and then stretch your arms to the sky to create length. One more inhale. With the exhalation, returning back to a supportive seat. If you're using a chair, you can sit down on your chair. You'll be able to do these movements as well. Hands to the legs, knees. Inhale to lift and lengthen. Exhale, coil in round, chin to sternum. Inhale, draw forward, create a low back arch as best you can. Open through your front body, mouth and jaw. Exhale to round. So a few spinal motions with the cat and cow pose. Inhale to open. Exhale to round. One more time. Inhale to expand through your front body. Exhale to round in. Use your in-breath to return your low back to neutral space. And with the exhale, ground and root. Inhale to expand. Arms rise to the sky. With the exhalation, right hand lowers down, left arm up and over. Again, if you're in a chair, you can follow these same motions. Inhale to lift. Exhale, opposite side. Inhale to rise through center. Exhale to elongate through your side body and ribs. Final time here, wherever you're at, take a moment with the breath to return back through center. with the exhalation. Take your hands back behind you, interlace the fingertips, stretch the knuckles back, open through the front of the collarbones, the pectoral muscles. One more inhale. And with the exhalation, relax your arms down. Take a breath, lengthen the arms back up to the sky. With the exhale, hands to heart, rotate your ribs just a bit over to the right side. Inhale, palms lift just a bit through center, and then exhale to the left. One more time to visit each side with your breath, gentle twist. And with the inhalation, lift back up to the sky, stretch the arms long. On the exhalation, release your hands, arms down. Feel free to use your seated prop if you are using one to create a little bit more uplift. Take a few gentle shoulder rolls here, up, back, and down. Gently pause, shoulders onto your back body. One final movement here, a little contraction, draw your shoulders up to your ears. Bring your hands to fists, squeeze through your facial muscles, squeeze your toes, your legs, get super tight in your whole body, full body contraction here. Take in a deep breath. Hold the breath at the top for 3, 2, 1. Exhale to relax everything here, soften. Notice any contrast. From that place, make any final adjustments that you need for the moment to settle into your seat. Either the hands can be out wider or one palm rests in the other at center. Keep your spinal column long as best you can. If you're utilizing a chair and it's available to you, have a little bit of space between your back and the back of the chair. So you're activating through the core muscles. Know that you can always lean back if it becomes too much. And soften any holding in your jaw, your mouth. And as you settle here into the space that you're in, take a moment to build awareness and simply take a little inventory of what's present for you right now. And start with your physical body, from the soles of the feet to the top of your head. See if you can distinguish any areas that feel a little more tense or fatigued. And also acknowledge the areas that are a bit more spacious, energized. And also affirming anywhere in between. So if you're noticing places that are just more neutral, in the middle. And from your physical body, take a moment of attention to scan and notice what's happening in your mind right now. Is there more space, more busyness? Is it more neutral? And also welcoming whatever emotional state you find yourself in. So whether that be a more elevated emotion, more sweetness, joy, or if there's something that's feeling more anxious or frustrating, again, could be that you're simply in more of a neutral place today. And from there, gradually shift your focus to the center of your heart and focus on yourself in your space. Repeating silently to yourself these words of affirmation. Know that you can always swap these words with others as well if they don't fully resonate. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I be full of vitality and ease. From yourself as the focus, expand out to someone in your life that you care for, that supports you. It doesn't have to be only a person as well. It could be a pet or even a plant. And to that you're holding in your heart space, offering these same words. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you be full of vitality and ease. And checking in if your attention is elsewhere in future thought, past thought, excitement or concern. See if you can lovingly bring back your focus to this practice of loving kindness meditation. And from your focus of mind's eye, expand out to another person, someone that you don't know as well. Might be a colleague that you don't engage with as much, or someone in your near community at a store, or a bus driver, link operator. And to this person that you don't know so well, send these same words of support. May you be happy. May you be healthy. May you be safe. May you be full of vitality and ease. From there, gently expand out even wider as if you're using a digital map and zooming out. Seeing the region that we live in, the communities that make up this region and everyone in it. Especially during this time, offering these words to the community. May the community be happy. May the community be healthy. May the community be safe. May the community be full of vitality and ease. One more time here, a gentle zooming out as if you were perched on the moon looking at our blue planet, offering these words to all beings that transcends just humans, thinking of all beings that might be suffering, offering them the support. May all beings be happy. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be safe. May all beings be full of vitality and peace and ease. And gently zoom all the way back into yourself, sitting in your space, focusing once again on the center of your heart, Take note of where your mind is at. If you're somewhere else, opportunity to come back. And one final time to yourself and everything that you are navigating, engaging with. Offer these words of support. May I be happy. May I be healthy. May I be safe. May I be full of vitality and ease. And take a moment here to check in with your physical body, honoring if you're experiencing any slight numbness or sensation, a bit of discomfort, and checking in if that's something that you can be with, sit with, allow to pass or integrate, or if it's something that requires more attention, perhaps the choice to adjust slightly and then come back. And from there, start to move your focus to the soft and natural rhythm of your breath. The belly center and tips of the nostrils can often be good focal points to choose one and let your mind's eye stay there. Know that you can also choose the ribs or any other part of your body that you feel like you can attend to. And notice the gentle ebb and flow of your breath moving in and then out of your body. Once you've landed on your chosen focal point, we'll work with a technique called thought labeling. So at one point, as you focus on your breath, you'll find that your mind goes elsewhere. When that happens, you have two options. You can either silently say to yourself, thinking, and then come back to the focus of your breath. Or you can also categorize the thought. So if it's a thought of excitement, you can just say excitement. Or it might be a thought of future worry, might be a thought of joy, a thought of anxiety. Whatever the thought is, offering it a little label, either thinking or something more specific. Then come back to the focus that you've chosen to observe the breath. Over these next minutes, this might happen many, many times. So let it be a gentle dance, noticing thought, labeling, and then come back. Checking in if you're somewhere else in another narrative of your life, no big deal. Simply notice the thinking and come back to sitting with, observing the focal point that you've chosen for noticing the breath. Once more, checking in where your mind's eye is at. You've drifted, coming back to the focus of your breath. A little bit longer here. You play with this technique of thought labeling. And very gradually Invite the focal point of your attention to recede into the background. And take in a deep, full breath through the nose if available, otherwise through the mouth. Open mouth exhale to let it go. In the pause here, take note of anything that has shifted, transpired for you through this time that you've carved out to hone the mind, to play with awareness, to build focus. And gently take either the palms to touch in front of heart center or lay one hand flat at the heart and the other hand on top of that. And to affirm yourself for showing up and all those that support you, that potentially helped you to carve out this time. And to this opportunity to practice virtually but still in community. Gently bow your head towards your heart center. And take a few moments to release your hands, flutter your eyes open, take on some light, and feel free to make any movements, stretches in your body.